First, full disclosure, I did not write this sermon by myself. DJ and I had several conversations during the week about how are we going to talk about this, because as we both believe, if you want to know what a congregation really believes, look at what they're teaching their children. So how do we talk about today's topic with our children? So when you hear these words today, you'll hear my words and DJ's woven together as we try to work that out. Three things were in my mind as I thought about today. One was the reading that Mark shared. It's a bit of genius and perspective, an extension of what I shared with you in a previous sermon about the impact of our words on other people. Reading from the bottom up is a very you thing to do, and it's saying something real about what we believe about truth and kindness. You probably know the old joke about you-yous being bad hymn singers because we're busy reading the next line to see if we can really say that with integrity. Well, the second thing I was thinking about is the second verse of the hymn that we sang previously. A mind that's free to seek the truth, a mind that's free in age and youth, to choose a path no threat impedes wherever light of conscience leads. Our martyrs died so that we can be a church where every mind is free. Now, I don't intend to focus on the martyrs and the death, although I must acknowledge them first, but on speaking our own truth, on following our own conscience as a way of life. The third thing I was thinking about was a concept that Richard Rohr speaks of, and that is a prophet is one who stands on the inside edge, on the outside edge of the inside. The outside edge of the inside. When we delve into that idea more deeply, we will acknowledge to ourselves that it will often put us in an uncomfortable place. But we will also know that we wouldn't have it any other way. That is where we you-yous stand when we are the best of ourselves. Do these thoughts give you a place to stand? The sermon title, Stay Awake, is about staying engaged in things that just feel like they're insurmountable or will go on forever, and we just get apathetic and bored, even if we know it's important. Even when the thing is against everything that we believe in, we can lose interest or give up or even get talked into it. And how does that translate for our younger members? What in their worlds makes a frame of reference that they can buy into and learn to dig in and hold on and stay with it until and persist until they succeed? As I wrote this, I was thinking about my very stubborn daughter, whose permission I have to share this story, and about how I always said of her that she would walk off a cliff if I couldn't explain quickly enough and to her satisfaction why she shouldn't be walking backward and not looking over her shoulder. What does this make you think of? I value your perspective and other ideas and voices besides my own being part of the conversation, and I hope that we can talk more about this later at coffee hour. Okay, here's the admission. I always wanted to be one of the popular girls, to be part of the in crowd that got the attention of everyone else who were longing to be laughing at the center of a group of people who thought you were marvelous. Once or twice, I even came close to being an insider, but then I learned what I had to give up to be in that enviable place. Freedom to try things nobody else was trying. The ability to strike out in new directions without getting everyone's opinion and approval first. And even without the mean girl stuff that unfortunately and inevitably, only if internal gossip, seems to be part of the herd instinct. Maybe my problem was that I found protection for the group ethic was stifling rather than encouraging. I found I didn't last very long in groups like that. My own ethic wanted what we sang about in our hymn, a mind that's free to choose a path no threat impedes, wherever light of conscience leads. Well, with no small amount of internal sorrow, I would realize I didn't really fit in, or someone else would remark that my ideas were outside the group's interests. And as in the ugly part of the poem that Mark read, I would think myself unworthy, a worthless, terrible person, and would compound my feelings with other examples, undeserving, not good enough, and yes, all the way to ugly. And I don't think I'm alone in that experience. It took a long time, nearly half a lifetime, before I could put words and shape and form to these feelings and thoughts of both wanting and not wanting to be an insider, but fearing to be an outsider, a person without community or friends. The first inkling that I had found my people was when some friends said to me, "You should go and see those people at the UU congregation. They sound just like you." What do they mean by that? I just had to go and find out, and that was the beginning of my journey in Unitarian Universalism at the congregation in Rock Tavern, Orange County, here in New York, which is where I actually became a UU. We UUs are both insiders and outsiders. In fact, that's how I think of us. We believe more than anything else in believing differently together. We listen to each other. We give respect to differences, perhaps even more than to similarities. We celebrate diversity, and even if we don't always live into our deepest values, we never stop trying. In our own way, we meet Richard Rohr's idea of being prophets. Rohr said, and I quote, "The prophet is always on the edge of the inside, not an outsider throwing rocks, nor a comfortable insider who defends the status quo, but one who lives precariously." End quote. Yes, that is a great description of us, and it has great strength, and it also requires great tenacity and a firm resolve. This isn't easy. The purpose is to make us recognize our separation, our shutdown, our numbing ability, and to say these things out loud, to be more aware to ourselves of our own processes and feelings, and to offer some sense of recognition that we're getting to our limits before we get there. For example, when the first "why bother" enters my thoughts, or when I feel really tired long before the end of the day. When we know our own cures, then we can take care of ourselves and not do what I call going down the rabbit hole of self-doubt and burnout, from which it takes a long time to come back. There's a story, perhaps you've heard it, it's called Autobiography in 5 Short Chapters, that makes a good illustration. Chapter 1. I'm walking down a street. There is a big, deep, dark hole. I don't see it. I fall in. I can't get out. Chapter 2. I'm walking down a street. There is a big, deep, dark hole. I see it, but I can't get around it. I fall in. It takes a long time to get out. Chapter 3. I'm walking down a street. There is a big, deep, dark hole. I fall in. It's a habit. I get out right away. Chapter 4. I'm walking down a street. There is a big, deep, dark hole. I see it and walk around. Chapter 5. I walk down a different street. I'll be honest, I'm struggling with this one, this idea, this concept, this sermon more than most. It seems like we're starting a conversation about avoiding compassion fatigue, but there's more here than practicing self-care or solidarity and mindfulness. This is not about giving in or giving up, but instead monitoring our thoughts and actions and making sure that we remain part of the struggle for justice by staying awake. We Unitarian Universalists are generally not comfortable people. Our drive to work for the beloved community, for fairness and justice for all persons, and our disconcerting tendency to ask hard questions and speak truth to power can lead us toward compassion fatigue and apathy unless we stand together in that place of discomfort and feed each other's souls with support and love and affirm that there is no other place that we'd like to be. We are, by our own definition, insider-outsiders, but we don't have to wish to be on the inside, and we don't have to compromise to be there. We are also outsiders. We are also not outsiders, locked out without community. To paraphrase Rohr, we are both inside and outside. The ultimate threat, the ultimate reformer, and hear this clearly, this is our challenge, the ultimate invitation. This is our challenge, to stay informed, to stay connected, and stay involved in issues that may seem endless and insurmountable. It does sound draining, but there is help, there is hope, and there is help for the journey, because we are all here together. In closing, I offer you this prayer from Richard Rohr. We have a calling in this world. We are called to honor diversity, to respect differences with dignity, and to challenge those who would forbid it. We are people of a wide path. Let us be wide in affection and go our way in peace. May it be so, dear friends. I'll see you on the road.